What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus Gray. And this is Gray Area Anime. And we are back with another one.
Yeah. Okay.
Another one.
I keep trying to let you just do
Another
the intro
one.
completely, but then you always do something that makes me feel like I must interject. Like, please.
Must you?
Yes. Compelled.
It is I, your loving and very good host, or I hope to be a good host, Icarus Gray, over here at Gray Area Anime, also with the lovely executive producer, Prima Diva.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? It's good to be back.
And also with us, we have the most important part of the Gray Area Anime podcast.
The guest
The guest.
of honor.
The student. BibleStudyGirl, introduce yourself.
Hello. She's dang near a TA. I'll tell you why. Because when we were watching the episode, she said arigato. When you start trying to quote the Japanese, you are elevating, my friend. You've been watching a lot.
Yes, I am.
Every time she
Yes.
said Turi, she was ready.
I was.
Just ready to look at the screen and be like, Turi.
I was ready.
That's how you know it's become a thing now.
It has.
It's a different level.
She's
I
grown.
do try to. I'm picking up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
just a tiny
Just the tiny.
smidge.
As you may have guessed by now, this is another episode of Teach Me Senpai Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Indeed.
It's getting good.
It's getting stressful. That's what it's getting.
It is. That's where we are.
Which means it's good.
yeah,
If you are emotionally invested, it's good.
tugged at the old heartstring.
So we're doing,
Teary-eyed, misty and such. Oh.
that's the majority of the stuff you watch.
No, not majority, but a few.
I'll let you have
A
it.
treasured few.
So, all right. We're doing episodes 10 and 11
Mm-hmm.
because they are intricately tied together. And we wasn't finna watch one and not connect the other.
yeah,
We didn't know that at the onset because it had been a while since we'd watched, and we completely forgot what was going on from episode 9 to this one.
Can I also say that I feel like the to be continueds are a little deceiving, a little deceitful,
They
because they
are.
do
Oof.
make you feel like it's a part 1 and a part 2, and then you see it again. It's like, what are we doing here?
yeah. Like what's going on?
And then you're like, wait, whoa. I got
That
stop
wasn't
watching. Like, I can't watch all of it. Like,
Right.
unlike with how we're gonna do ReZero, which season 2 is done
Yeah. So
currently,
that,
so you'll
that
get your
episode's coming.
full recap of the season because the episode breakdowns we just
There's so much.
it's harder. It's easier with you to do new stuff and things that we're watching together because we have no expectations.
right.
That one we have all the expectations, and I don't
Yes.
want to taint anybody's viewing of it because it's just spoiler alert.
I understand.
But these 2 episodes, what was the title of episode 9?
10.
Episode 10 is to
10,
the
excuse me.
second winter.
Okay, and then episode 10 or 11. Sorry.
Episode 11 is life or death choices in family meetings.
So if you can surmise from these 2 titles, one of them doesn't seem serious, but very much so is.
Very much.
And then it just ramps up.
I think that Game of Thrones forever destroyed anything that has winter in the title, unless festival is right under it. Because if you find out that the second winter is coming, nothing good can come from that. I mean, it just doesn't sound positive. I'm just saying.
Here's to the second winter.
Yes.
And wasn't it rough?
Quite.
So let's pick up where we left off. Last episode, mine had talked with Frida about the devouring and just kind of the onset for life. She kind of gave her some tools. She said, as long as you're not doing this or that, you'll be fine. Now you can't cure it, but this helps you manage, kind of thing, is what she kind of told her. And so mine in her mind thought that she would have more time. So we start the episode with She's been sick for 3 days. But Lutz comes in and Turi comes in to check on her because she's woke up. She feels fine. She'd been fighting back the fever like, you will not take me. And they were blah, blah, blah. I lost my whole train of thought there. They're talking about it, and he's like, well, I'm thankful. Well, she's telling Lutz, I'm thankful that I haven't fallen out in public anymore. That we've gotten to that aspect of our life where we know when it's coming and we can kind of be more prepared.
Right.
All right, cool. So now it's time for us to go back to work.
Yeah.
So they go to talk with Beno-san, and they're talking, and then he goes, well, so we've been having some issues with the shampoo making, and it could, if we don't fix it, terminate our contract. And they're like, well, at worst, what happens when the contract is terminated? And I believe he said death.
Well, he said it could threaten our lives.
It could threaten our lives. Yeah.
I'm just going to say death.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what it was.
Because they were like, whoa, wait, why did you not explain this beforehand?
Before we
I mean, anytime you have to sign it in blood, though, guys. Come on. I know they're children. I know.
But can we?
We'll get
Can
there,
we?
yeah.
Yeah.
We need to.
We'll
do we want to do it now?
No, we can talk about the kids later. We'll talk about the children.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, can we? Like, 'cause I feel like we need to readdress.
Because we got to figure some things
Yeah,
out.
okay.
But we'll talk about that with episode 11. So with that, they're like, she's like, take me to him. Like, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, because
Like,
I'm not.
you should have told me
Yeah,
what's
she
going
wants
on.
to see how they're processing what she told them to
That
do.
and I mean, it's like the devouring is already trying to kill me. Now you tell me contracts trying to take me out too.
Yeah.
It's just
So let me
let's just fix this
let me lay my eyes on your manufacturing process.
and find out what the
Yeah,
problem
because
is.
something ain't right.
So they go to the factory.
And
Yeah.
before when we were watching the episode and talking, my thought process was maybe the shampoo is not working because there's something magical.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Yeah,
in her, and
It's just
she
that
has to
mind
touch it
Yeah.
And do
for it
these
to be
things.
woo woo woo. So
Yeah.
I just
And
wanted to
this
throw
is
that
only
one.
from those who are not well versed and have watched millions of them. It can be a plot point.
I totally thought the same.
But normally, no, that's what I'm saying.
I am not well-versed.
You're not at millions.
No, I'm not.
It ends up just being kind of like this funny thing because like they're way more obvious when it's that. Like sometimes they're
When it
good
is
at
magical.
subtle. Yeah.
Well, I like to watch everything with a very I'm always trying to guess the turn. Like,
Yeah.
We were raised
Yeah.
as such. With this, I know the turns. Like the turns, like when you're surprised, oh, that is an amazing one. Not to say that this one isn't amazing, but it was
you
one of those
definitely had
things
some
where-
surprises.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, we'll get.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get through this episode so we can get to
through the
it.
episode.
So I forgot about Benno was also telling them that over
Over winter
by
break.
winter they needed to learn to speak better, dress better,
Learn to use a calculator.
and learn how to use a calculator,
And he
and
told
also
Lutz specifically that he could not be in the shop working with noble people and people with money with the way that he spoke. He needed to improve his
hey
speech.
please and everything else
Right.
before the winter. So now they're at the factory and he goes through the process and she's like, okay, I know exactly what's wrong. It is the paper you use.
The cloth, yeah.
The cloth, because they are using better cloth.
Yeah, these
Quote,
high
unquote.
quality, smooth cloths.
And so the cloth in the poor district, the lower end, the not middle class, the lower class,
In the hood,
as
in the
well,
hood.
Yeah.
is a little rougher than theirs. It's a little bit more porous, so it catches or doesn't catch as much of the nutrients that are coming out of the oils. Therefore,
The rough parts.
Yeah, the rough
Yeah.
parts.
The abrasive parts, because there were actually pieces of the fruit that were getting into her formulation.
And that's
Yeah.
what made it
Yeah.
better. Is that helped with the cleaning and removing of
Yes.
the impurities.
Because that, it's an abrasive, so it helps. As you all know, you wash your hair. This is also a
I
thing
don't make shampoo.
where well, you
Yeah,
don't make
right.
it, but you use the different facial scrubs and things of that
Yeah.
nature, and you know the differences between them and what it is that they're actually doing in
Right.
terms of exfoliating, which is something that I think is very interesting about how they explain it, because it's simple stuff, but it's still complicated things that, why do you know this?
Right.
Like, why even in your other life did you know this?
Exactly, because I wouldn't if I transported to another time.
Books. Like,
I mean,
you're right,
she
but she
read.
clearly like
She was an encyclopedia.
She read everything,
but she did say that she made them with her mom and her and her mom made them too. So I think
and also home ec and stuff for them probably is different. So they're talking about that, and then it was also like, in her old world, not.
No. I just wonder about that home ec in other places. It just made me laugh a little bit. Like, what would that be like? Anyway.
Way more detailed in a lot of different ways.
We don't even have home ec anymore, so it's fine.
It's gone?
Point. Oh, yeah, it's been gone.
They took that out a while. I couldn't even take home ec.
Seriously? You're that much younger than me? I took home ec in high school.
I wanted to. My mom did too.
I took home ec in junior high.
Junior high and high school.
We still didn't do a whole lot. High school, no.
I loved home ec.
I think we took a home ec light version.
And home ec means home equity.
Economics. It's definitely not home equity. Icarus, you need help.
Bless him.
Over there snickering and stuff. It's, home economics.
Home equity, is that what we figure out?
No. If they did teach home equity, we'd probably be very different children.
I know. That was part of the joke.
But
anyway.
Boom. Don't quit your day job.
So, shut up, you. I plan to with this.
Okay. God bless.
Moving on.
Anyway, so
she fixes the shampoo.
She fixes the shampoo, and as she fixes it, they're like, well, now we got a whole lot of extra stuff that we can't use. Yeah. And she's like, what do you mean can't use? She said, all you need to do is add an abrasive to it. And
then
you can make some syrups.
You can do this and that. And they're like, she's like, wait a minute.
She was like, oh no.
And he was like, anything else that you need, you will pay me for, Mr. Beno.
Yes.
He's like, all right, y'all, let me borrow y'all meeting room right quick.
Literally.
and like lifts her up. And Leslie's like, what? And he's like, we'll be back. We're going to
get this done right now.
But she also says the reason she stops talking is because she realizes this is what got her into trouble with Lutz. This is why
when he did the buy half off and all
was suspicious of who she really was. She's like, I'm giving way
too much information
for what, like I'm answering way deeper than what was asked.
Right.
Exactly.
Like I need to solve the problem.
But don't.
And that's really what it is that she doesn't pose the solution like a question because she knows the answer, and she should pose it as a question because it should be more like a discovery because they don't know, oh, well, what if we tried this?
Well,
we'll see if that, you know what I mean?
She's not also thinking about it from the standpoint that this is an original idea here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you saying it there would be like, oh, cool. Well, I'll go buy Jergens or I'll go buy, St. Nick's or whatever, herbal essences, whatever you out there buying. Like it would be like, that's why she's talking about it so normally, because that's how we would talk about it. Mm-hmm. Well, girl, you need an abrasive. Go and get you some of that clear salt or whatever it is. They got
bath salts down there. You can just put that in there, make it into a bubble bath.
And like, well, this is what you do or how you make them. We wouldn't, because everybody somewhere can get the knowledge is how we think about it. So that's how she thinks about it. So they go and they talk. He says, I'll pay you 2 gold coins. And again, we told y'all we not breaking down their money.
We don't understand it. 2 small golds.
2 small golds. And she's like, I'll do it for 3. I'll give you the rest. He said, 3? And immediately she says, get as much money as you can, whenever you can, however you can. That's what she's like. Well, 3 is as high as I can go because you're going to need it to fight off the devouring. And he was like, and she's like, well, you knew? Mm-hmm. You knew about the devouring? And so, well, you need money. And she starts explaining the things that he could kind of do. You could make soap, you can make these kind of things. And he's like, so have you tested this before? And she says, well, no, we don't have enough money to get the ingredients to test this stuff. So how do you know it's going to work? To which she then responds, well, that is a secret. Because, I've said more than I needed to, again. And I know that you just need to know that I know.
Right.
And no amount of money will allow me to tell you that I know or why
how I
know.
Yeah.
And he says, and she's like, well, if that makes you think I'm a creepy child, and you can't work with me, I understand. To which he responds, girl, I'm a businessman. What is you talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna get this money.
We're gonna get this money, honey. Like, it's all good.
I don't care where you get your. I don't care what your source is.
Like, whatever it is. Like, that's just gonna make me work harder to make sure you only working for me.
Exactly.
Right.
And that calms her. And so they go.
But he also asked her the question, "Who are you?"
I mean,
Like,
that's
he
what started
pointed
that whole
blank.
thing. He's
It's
like, wait a minute, who are you?
Because this
Like,
is
you
not.
know,
How do
like,
you
you
know
know
this?
way more than you think.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they get back home, and I think they had just gotten their pay. Did they just get their pay?
They got I think that's when they got that. She went home to tell them that they got an advance. They did get paid, I believe, beforehand.
Yeah.
And she went home to tell her mom and her sister, hey, we need to make some more hairpins.
Yes.
And they were like, what do you mean? I'm tired. Gonna have to stay up all night. Well, I got us in advance.
And
Three,
she dropped
like,
some
no,
5 bronze coins.
No. It was
It was
only
three.
like, it was only 3.
It was
One for each
one
of them.
Yeah, I got us in advance. Boom. And they were like, whoa.
bronze
what?
coins. And then they're like,
Medium bronze is at that. Like,
Right.
Let's work. Let's
Yeah.
work.
And so you see them
And she was like-
feverishly.
just sewing.
And she's like, I've casted the rush spell on them.
Right.
Because it's basically incentive, but in her mind, she
Yes.
calls it the rush spell.
That's
So
what it
then,
is.
She's talking to Lutz the next day about like, well, you know, we actually were able to get a lot of things done. He was like, how's it going? And she says, how's it going on your end? And he's like, I just can't get them motivated. And he's like, you just need to cast the rush spell.
The what?
The rush spell. And then she goes over and she's like, yeah, here's 5 medium bronze coins for you that we
Yeah.
got for our work on these things. And his
For
brother's
them
like,
sticks?
Right.
sticks that he was making? Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
Like, sign me up.
Like, does it have to be him?
Yeah.
Like, if I know how to do it, I can do it. I can do it. Which her mother and their Lutz's mom in the very next scene is like, con men, merchants are con men.
I don't understand why you don't want to do something so
Right.
uncertain.
She was like, well, I think that the guy that they're working for is really good for him. So
That's what
that's my
mine's
thought.
mom was saying too. Lutz's mom, because Lutz's mom is having a conniption. She's trying to figure out why are her boys changing. What is Lutz doing with his life? Why doesn't he want to be like us?
And with that, her dad comes home one day and they're working again, and she goes, or he goes, because he always wants to be involved, like any dad want to be. He's like, all right, well, they're doing that. What am I gonna do? I can make those little hairpins for you. Well, that's Lutz's job.
Yeah.
And he's like,
And the
God
daddy is
dang
like,
it.
Lutz, what am I gonna do here?
Yeah.
And she's
To make
like,
him feel better.
well, I need to go to the
The gate.
tomorrow. You can take me there. So he takes her. And she had met with Otto.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been so long since we've seen him currently
Yeah,
and
Otto's
talked.
been
Well, it's not
busy.
been that long, but it's been long
No,
for
it's
us to
been
have
long.
talked about him. And she's writing down some stuff and she's telling some thank you. And then one of the guards comes in and like, Trombe attack. Trombe attack. Which, as you remember, is the wild trees that devour and suck up magic.
They're huge weeds.
I
They
have
suck up all the life
theory.
around all of the. I'm
power.
kind of
I have a
with you.
theory.
I'm on a theory
All right.
with you too. They spring up in random places and they suck up all the life
Yeah, my idea,
around
but
all of the.
she's gonna
plants
figure out
around
how to
them.
use the trombone, not only.
To suck up the life of her
Uh-huh,
fever. Is that where you're
uh-huh.
going with this? See,
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if they were connected to begin with, just because every time we see her fever starting to like become more, as we see her fever starting to become more frequent, we see more trombe.
We see more trombe.
We didn't see as much trombe in the beginning of the series.
Well, I think that it's generally just tied to the overflowing of magic, so they can still be tied together.
That's
yes.
what she's
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah,
Like,
so
I just
yeah.
think it's
Spills
interesting.
out.
So I think
Yeah.
that it's like so much so that it's spilling out. So yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
So
And it's
It's
only
just
when
a
she's
theory.
close to the gate. Like when she
Right,
gets
like-
close to the gate.
or when she's
The
outside
trombe,
of the
I would say
gate.
no. When
Because
she was
outside
in the
of gate,
forest,
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
when the
When-
trombe
yeah.
appeared. And then when she was at the gate,
Yeah.
near the outside of the
Yeah.
city, near the forest,
It
it
gets
appeared
lit.
again.
We'll
I don't know,
Because she passes out. Like
True.
straight up.
So
But they take the trombe.
they
decide to
go
get the
and
trombe.
they go get the trombe and they realize, oh well, now I didn't think we were going to be able to make paper this soon.
But now we can.
And now we can get the process started and we can finish a lot of the paper in the spring. And she's talking to Lutz and she has a fever
Yeah.
comes over her and then it kind of goes away. And she explains to him kind of what Frida had told her, because she hadn't said anything to him about Frida telling her that she basically has like about a year.
right.
And so, she's like,
well, I don't think she said a year yet. I think she
had said a year at that point.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing she was kind of exclaiming to him as she was on his back while they were on the way back home. Because he was like, hey, I'll carry you.
Yeah.
And so she gets on his back and she starts thinking like, man, you do so much for me that I could probably never repay you for, that I don't really think you have to do. And she's thanking him, and she's just like, hey, I need you to know that I appreciate you.
Right.
And as she's saying these things, he is just bawling.
Tears are on her hands.
Tears are on her hands.
It's so sweet.
And it's such a sweet and connecting moment. They fast forward to now they're talking to Benno the next day about.
I don't think it's the next. I think
he took her directly to Benno since she had another fever. He's like,
because it was in their work day.
Yes, and that's like his responsibility. He's responsible for her. Yes. Benno told him, like, look, keep this girl
safe. Okay.
So they're having a conversation about their day, like, hey, we got some more of this, that, and the third, and the fever hits mine, like, and she falls back in her chair. She looks like a doll that is just like been taken over by these things. And Benno is like, oh, hey, get the carriage. And then on the screen we see to be continued.
Yeah, right. But you also didn't talk about the pep talk that Benno gave him before.
Say, that happened before.
Well, that was.
Actually, that was
after.
In the chronological order. So they go to Benno's house.
Yeah.
In that moment, she doesn't have the fever yet. She's recovering. So him and Lutz are in the office talking to each other, and that's when he gives him the pet talk. It's the next day that the fever gets so bad.
Yeah, because then that's when they came back for the next day work. All right. So
the pep talk.
Correct. So the pep talk is he comes in, he says
he's sad, he's crying, he's emotional.
He was like, I don't know what to do. I want to be able to help her.
Please help her.
Please help her. And he was like, listen to me. Did you not say that you were going to make any and everything that you wanted come true? You need to be a man. If you're going to do it, you better do it. And you better make as much money as you can so that you can do the things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah. Right.
Be a man.
All right.
And he's like, aye.
Yeah. Lutz stops crying. He mans up. You visibly see him.
You're like, yes, sir.
Yes.
And the next day they're talking. Yeah, the next day they're talking. He's like, are there any other ideas you got, mine?
That we need to make
because
now.
Because they had finished their orders of hairpins. So they had the big thing of hairpins.
They had more than enough. She had only known they were going to make 10. They had at least 20.
Yeah.
20 or something like that. So we're ready for the...
And then they go back, and that's when she was trying to show him the baskets that they were using to carry them in.
Right.
Like, hey, can we use these?
Can we
or
sell these baskets or whatever? And he was like, that was you? She was like, yeah, I made this last winter.
All the things
all the
that
weird
I see,
things.
the weird things that I see here,
they're
product of you, like they're you.
And then that's when he asked her, is there any other ideas that you have? And she said, well, we could do candles, we could do scrubs, we could do all of that.
And the fever takes over, and then she falls.
Yeah,
that's
when she falls.
All right, blah blah blah. To be continued.
To be continued.
Give him the title for episode 11 one more time.
Life and death choices and family meetings.
Okay, let's get into it.
It is a whole thesis statement, but it's true.
It is an entire thesis statement.
All right.
It's a paper.
It summarizes the entire
episode. Let's chop this fable, guys. Okay. So here we go.
This is when it got...
The beginning
we're going to give the breakdown, like the summary of the episode, and then talk about it, because...
Yeah, we can do both.
Yeah, let's hit the point.
So let's
hit the point of the summary.
So we can get...
So here's what happens in the second half of this episode, because we got a lot of things we got to talk about in a very short amount of time. So... First thing, they get her in the carriage. They get her to the guild master's home.
Yes.
She does not know that she's there. She's sleeping. The devouring is attempting to devour her, and you see a little orb on the screen, and the devouring, or the mana from the devouring, is going to this orb. And she's like, I don't know what's happened. I see this orb. It's taking away the devouring. Get there now. I don't care. Just take it all away. Mm-hmm. To which the orb then breaks. And she wakes up. She has a little bracelet on her wrist. Frida comes in and she's like, oh no, the thing broke. And she's like, well, that is a magical item that is able to stave off the devouring. Mm-hmm. And she said, you probably overflowed it. And she's like, oh, well, I feel great now. And she's like, well, you've only stopped a cup that's going to overflow for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
You probably have about a year, and which she reiterates because I'm almost positive she said something.
She
about
did
that.
because
she said that it was,
she
it was
did
like
because
come back.
when Lutz was talking to Benno, he basically said you have a year.
Benno said that. Yeah.
Benno told him.
Frida, this was the first time that Frida I feel like confirmed
She
that
100%
it's for sure
confirmed.
going to be a year.
Yeah, because like if it's doing like this, like, and then she says to her, she's like, well, do I just need to get more of these or whatever? And she says, well, the thing is, you have to be a part of nobility in some way
to get a hold of these magical,
to get connected to these magical items because they don't just sell them anywhere.
Right.
Like it's the literal only way.
And also Frida's grandfather has bought up all the magical items.
Yeah, so
all the ones like that bracelet and the ones that they get, that's something I wanted to point out too, are already broken. The ones that the guild master himself, because he's not nobility, were either like there's something wrong with
That's
them
how they were able to
way.
buy them in that place, because a lot of the times they're probably using them obviously as
secondhand.
So she then lays down a bomb. The bomb is that she says, well, I'm going to be able to have access to these magical items because after my baptism, I'm going to be given away as a concubine to a noble person.
To clarify, she said that in order for you to have access to magical items, you have to have a contract and work exclusively for a nobleman.
Yeah.
Right.
Like someone in the nobility.
Yeah.
This is her example of an exclusive contract. We'll talk more about that later. Go on.
So they do that, and she's like, what if I don't want to do that? And when she said, well, you can choose to die with your family.
Yeah, you either enter and be, in this contract,
or you just die with your family. Like, that's the only way to get them. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, even us that has money has to get them secondhand.
Right.
Because I'm not nobility.
Exactly.
And so we fast forward from that, and she's like, I don't know if I really want to do that. She gets to see her family, and then they're like, well, does she get to come home? Well, she's going to stay one more night with us, kind of like how the doctor said, we just want to observe.
Yeah.
Frida says she's going to stay one more night. So in that night,
go ahead.
We'll get there. So in that night, they have a girls' night or a girls' day.
Yeah.
The next day before she's able to go home, they cook things, which she gives away a recipe for pound cake.
Right.
So because she finds out that they have sugar. She asks first, "Do you have sugar?"
Well, she said they wanted to have a girls' cooking day.
Yeah, I mean it was the same day, so it wasn't like this is the same day. Her parents leave, and they decide
it was
to
the
go.
next day because she said she was going to stay.
It's the same day because right after they leave
the same
kitchen,
day because
they
go
to
to sleep. Yeah. Okay, so they cook the pound cake, and they're both looking at her like, "This is amazing."
This is the cook and Frida.
Right?
Who are like, "Oh my god!"
Oh. I'm moving too fast. So before they have their day and they have their conversation, they're sitting with her grandfather and Frida.
Oh yeah, breakfast.
And
breakfast.
She's like, thank you for allowing me to use one of your magical items. He was like, okay, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, he said, we didn't tell Benno.
Benno said you was going to pay for it.
Right.
To which
she was like,
he then says,
how much?
Well, 3
small
golds. And she's like,
what?
Why? That's a lot. Okay,
I got it.
Which,
you didn't
if you
have
remember,
it? You
she
don't have
just
it?
got 3.
No, first of all, I just want to point out the fact that Frida was so excited when she was like, "You don't have it."
Yeah.
Like, well, you can. They were all trying to set up to get her to
ready.
work for them.
They
and
were.
that was their
No,
whole
I got
plan.
it.
It's
Like,
You
I
can
got
pay
it.
that.
It's like, yes, they said, our
And
whole
the
thing was you
old
would have to be my
grandpa out of
apprentice
his
if
mouth.
you couldn't.
Yeah, old grandpa out of his mouth says, "Well, I was hoping you wouldn't have it because then you would have to be
Work for me.
Like my apprentice.
I was gonna register you as my apprentice.
yeah."
Just
keep
everybody
going,
wants
'cause
the
I
money.
It's terrible.
I got stuff
So
to say.
they have their girl day. She gives away the recipe. They take a bath
Unknowingly,
together.
yeah,
She
and then they go to
washes her
sleep.
hair with the new
All in
soaps. They go to sleep. They get up, and she's really somber. Her parents come by. They hug.
Today is, for the record, they get up and
today is Frida's
baptism day. Okay,
And they don't
moving
go
on.
any further. But it's Frida's baptism.
And mine says, "I can tell you really don't want to leave your family."
And she's like, no.
But I'm going to be able to run a business as a
Right.
nobleman's concubine. I will have a business of my
business
own
of
that
my
I
own,
can
yeah.
run.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go this fast. This episode's gonna go a little bit longer than normal because we have to have a discussion. So they blah 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 blah. They come to pick her up and they're like, "Well, hey, you guys can have dinner with us." And she tells her, "Mom, I want your cooking."
I'm like, no.
To which Turi is immediately like, "But I wanted to eat noble food.
I wanted to eat
whatever.
rich people food
Rich
on the way
people
home.
food." She was like, "Well, we haven't had your mom's cooking in forever, and her dad kind of praises his mom or praises his wife. And they're like, there goes dad praising mom again.
It was a great
so
family
cute.
moment, especially knowing that the clock is ticking down on her life.
Exactly.
And I think that's the picture that they said, that I miss my family. I want to spend as much time as possible with these guys.
If I only got a year.
And also her father was so ecstatic because he assumed that she was cured. That there was
because
no
that's
more.
what she
that
explained.
is another thing that they said.
And also he was
when they first
ecstatic
came to see
because majority of the time mine acts like she loves her dad, but
Yeah.
she's not a daddy's girl because that's not. She's a
She
logic
would have typically
girl.
been a mom. But she would have typically been a mommy's girl in her previous life because it was just her
Right.
and
It was just her mom.
Yeah.
And
And so she comes to her dad, hugs him. It's a really sweet moment. He's like, "Oh my God, I
you
wasn't
did
expecting."
miss me.
yeah,
And
because
Turi and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
like she
I guess
really
she
missed him
did
because
miss
like
him.
she ran to him like,
Yeah.
Daddy.
I mean, running
It was
for her.
sweet.
It
Yeah.
was the camera
Yeah.
angle was. I just have to point that
Oh.
out. That was
It
so
was
cool
sweet.
too. That this weird like over the shoulder as she's like tracking shot as she's like walking slowly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as fast as she can to her dad. It was,
The other thing that
Probably
was
perfect.
interesting to me was Frida and Turi both being little, small, exhausted children.
yes,
Right.
good lord.
Like for once, having somebody outside of her that was like her made me be
That's
like, okay,
dealing with the devouring and
Woo.
not able to stir
Okay.
a bowl.
this
Right.
is not as annoying. It's annoying, but it's not as annoying.
Yeah.
So they get home and they're having a good time. They're like, hey, you're cured. And, mine's going over in her head like, I'm really not, but I don't know if I should say anything.
Her mama had made her outfit for her baptism. She is trying
Yeah.
it on when her daddy walked
She
in.
said, you look like some noble person.
Yeah,
And
it's
she
not
was
rich
like,
girl.
Yeah.
and she
No,
said,
Mrs.
or
Madonna.
maybe it's just because I'm too damn cute.
Cute. Yeah.
That's what your mom says. No, maybe it's just because I'm too damn good. at
Yes.
what I do. And they're just having this great time.
Great
and she starts
family
to kind of
moment.
plan things in her head for next year. And then she's like,
Yeah.
I might not have that.
Yeah.
To which she then exclaims to her parents, finally, because he can see it. Her dad can see it on her face. It's like, well, what's wrong? Well, there's something I need to tell you guys. I really only have like a year because of the devouring. She's like, well, I thought you were cured. And she explains everything. She said, I could see it on your face. I'm your father after all. And there's a lot of hugging at this point.
And crying.
Yeah.
And crying. And they're
it's
talking
so
about it. And they're like,
beautiful.
well, how much did the thing cost? She was like, 3 small golds.
She didn't want to tell him. She's like, don't worry about it. It's taken care of.
Yeah. And they're like, how did you have that? And that's funny because the mom is like really worried. She's like, where did you get that money? Like,
Yeah.
She's like,
how,
well-
and the dad's like, don't worry about it. What's done is done.
Yeah. He
And
said,
she's
we're not
like,
going to worry about
focus
this.
on
she
right
said,
now.
well, we sold everything and we did these things. And she's like, can I just spend time with you guys?
Yeah. I mean, she tells them the deal that she'll either
Yeah.
have to leave to go be with the nobility and never see them again, or she can stay here with them and probably die. And so, she gives them the choice. Hey, can I just stay here with you? That's what I'd rather do. And of course, all of them are like, yeah,
Just stay here with us.
Like,
Just
don't
stay
worry
here.
about it.
And they're hugging. There's a lot of crying. And then they go to bed for the night.
And Dad is
And
hatching
Dad
a
is
plan
sitting
at
up
the
and
at the fireplace.
having
boy.
a drink at the fireplace.
Yeah.
And it's all somber. And they hit us with another to be continued.
Just
But
so much.
what we have to talk about is
Woo. How old is 7?
how old is seven
how
in
old
this
is
world?
7?
Like,
Let's just go ahead and get it over with.
I want to say that 7 is like 14.
It's gotta be,
It
or 12 at
has-
the very least.
well, I
I'm
want to say
gonna
that
say double.
7 is 14 mentally, because I still think that a lot of the,
societally.
society, because I think a lot of the claims and assumptions you make are closer to the truth. I do still think that they like wait until 13.
Oh,
like,
you mean like in terms of what I said about the concubine?
yes, because
So we can
concubine
talk
is a
about that.
very strong word.
It is, but it's a very definitive
Meaning.
terminology,
Yeah,
and so that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like they would use a different word if it
Well,
wasn't.
it's also
What
we
it
also have
is,
to
but
realize
that's
that
what
things
she
are
is.
translated differently, and we translate. They are,
Let me tell you something.
and I understand, but I'm telling you, like a lot of times there are certain translations that we can't completely grasp.
Okay, so
Now-
how are you translating it?
No, I'm translating it how
Sensei.
y'all are, but that's what I was saying with the assumptions that you have. That
No,
it's not like, because initially how it came off to us was 7.
He
Like,
finna be,
so you
yeah.
finna be like that's.
But
and-
I
and
don't think. I mean, but
I
we're
don't
talking
think
about an
anybody
older
sets up
world
like-
kind of
because
society,
if that's
though.
the case, I'm gonna say we got to. Like
Stop
I
watching.
got to
Yeah.
dip out on this if y'all are like normalizing pedophilia.
Right.
And like
I
like
don't.
no. go, bro. Like, this will be the last episode of this.
I mean, like, even one of the books that I love, the Throne of Glass series, like in those older world societies, you would enter into the home of like, if you were going to enter the contract, but you would enter into the home of like the madam or something like that at like 7, 8, 12, 14, like it didn't matter. You'd enter early and they would train you on like nobility and stuff like that. But it wasn't until you became of like legal age, like 18,
and that would
you would actually go into the market or whatever, so to speak.
That's what I believe is happening. But I also think that it's still
I don't know.
different.
It's just weird to me too, though, that they have the expectation that at 7 you are in training for your career, and so that's why I'm trying to 14, evaluate. Like what is really
well, because I think for them, what I've learned is life expectancy for where mine and Lutz come from is very short.
That is something else to think about, because
like the only life expectancy in the way that they talk is for nobility, like, because again, those are the only people with the access to the magical items. The devouring is normal.
I also think it has to do with the time, like we said, because of the fact that it is old world, because childhood in and of itself was not a thing. I mean, up until the 20th century, it was not, like the early 20th century did not see a childhood.
Like,
you was working from the time that you could walk. So
even early 21st century in terms of stuff that we do, like 100%. Our mother used to pick cotton. Right. Amongst other farm hand things. And so that was normalized where we didn't go out into the fields.
That's very true.
So I think that's more of the thing in regards to kind of what they mean. Because a lot of times, because I'm like, again, I promise y'all, if it leans to the left, we'll just come back and be like, we out of there.
But also, let me say, when Frida says this to her about the concubine stuff, and her family and mine's family comes to visit her that night, I would have left with my family that night, but she still felt comfortable.
Well, okay, so these were the strikes for Sarita. So first of all, they tried to trick her at breakfast. And then you're finding out that this woman is going to be a concubine.
Well, no, they tried they said the thing about the concubine first, and then they tried to trick her at breakfast.
And then they stole the pound cake recipe.
Okay, so when she said concubine stuff, I was like, nah. Mom and Dad, I'm going to go home with you. But then the next morning at breakfast, y'all tried to trick me. I said, why don't she leave with her people? These good people are gonna sell you into something you ain't ready for. But you still at this house
just to make money
taking these baths and eating this pound cake. I don't
like we friends.
Like I don't, but I did. I did get to see the child in Frida. I just have seen so much cunning and craftiness. I'm like, mine don't get.
And I think,
but I think that's also an adult thing too. Like you are looking at it like an adult. As a kid, you don't really let I mean, I distinctly remember moments with Charmaine, like, where we just, you argue and you get over it. Like, because we the only two people we got to play with. So I'm ready to play this game. Are you ready? Oh, no. Are you over it? Okay, cool. Let's get back to it. I had
that life when
that's what we had, because we just
done. She was done.
No, and I mean, I get that, but it just, like, you just have that way. It's like, okay, you made me mad 5 minutes ago, but that's okay. Like, I'll get over that. You'll get over it. We'll be friends again. It's fine. And you just move on, so I don't know.
And then I think another big thing about it was mine knows who she is, and she knows like, now granted, the thing that's so funny that I realized about this old world civilization, they can't modernize shit.
Well, it's gonna take a long time, Joe.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's like the simple things that she comes up with, and I know but think about this. So, like, we're thinking about the Trombe and everything else, which is probably what the authors and everything have thought about. It's just like, nah, fam, y'all ain't got to bow down to them. Like, you can make stuff that's affordable around you.
But just
now,
like
you don't have the technology and everything.
Just like Lutz's mom was saying, they have the mind. No, they have the mindset that merchants and stuff are you're shiesty
because they come from those other places, like being a farmer. That's honest work,
right?
You can see you see your profit.
And
you know where it's coming from.
Merchants don't have the deed to their.
No, they sell what other people's make,
right?
So, you know what I mean? Like that is uncertain. It's like you're getting rich off of someone else's labor. That's not a real job.
And also, they need to survive.
Yeah.
They don't have time to be coming up with shampoos,
random ideas
and cake.
Yeah, but here it's just
But I mean,
like,
even that cake, I did want to point that out too, based on what you said, is like the fact that he said, "Why did you give that snack away? Sugar just got here.
Right.
They just
It's
figured
like,
out how
yeah.
to import sugar. So
Yeah.
the fact that you already gave them a recipe to use with the new thing on the block, the
For
nobility is
free.
going to go crazy.
Right.
You know, so like you know, they are. This is like the
Now,
very.
if she had saved that recipe, she might have would have not had to get no tail to live.
You right?
That's what I'm saying. The
If Frida,
nobility.
Frida
yeah.
wasn't thinking right. She wasn't thinking, but it was too late. The deal had been struck.
At that point, they don't
Probably
really
signed in
know.
the
But
blood
she
already.
also did that with their cook, so they know they didn't have the manpower to do it. So she still Frida would have, like, mine has Lutz.
Right.
Frida got
Frida has
nobility
servants,
and I
uncle
mean
or
servants and
grandpa.
people, but I'm also saying like that
She
would
doesn't have a
still be
partner.
Yeah, she doesn't have a
that
partner.
would still be like, you can't do this by yourself. I don't have to do this for you if you're
True.
not paying me
Very
this
true.
amount of gold. I know you got the gold.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you can find somebody else, but I'm going to tell as many people as I can not to do
Yeah,
it.
this
with
episode
as
did
much.
something to my soul, child. I
there
need
was
to
a
know
lot.
what happened.
So needless to say, we are very interested in what did mean. And we know by now that mine is going to ultimately save Frida from whatever this life is.
You think so?
She
Oh,
gonna,
for
I mean,
sure.
she's probably gonna save herself. but
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know
I'm
if
thinking
she's
about
gonna be able
saving
to
I think
save
she's
herself.
going to be able to save Frida only because I think that the only reason, well, technically it'll be something different in the contract. It'll either be buying the contract out to where she can work with them or something. But the way she talks about it, like in anime, a lot of times when somebody tells you their dreams and y'all are friends, the same way that she does for Lutz, you're going to do whatever you can to realize those dreams.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave your family. I don't want to leave my family. So we need to figure something out. Here's the idea that I have, but you have to do this.
I never had that take on it. I just saw mine saving herself for
Yeah.
sure. Not that she doesn't have a heart for people, because she does.
Yeah.
But Frida's also so smart and independent.
Well, when
Just
she
not in the
knew,
same
and
way.
this is the
Yeah.
thing,
I
when
mean, 'cause
she
that's-
knew she was
well,
gonna
I'll
die.
point that out later.
I'll be quick and then you can go.
No,
but
you're
when
fine.
she knew she was gonna die, the first thing she said, "Well, I at least want to make sure I get to this meeting for him,
Right.
so he can live his dream and
Right.
everything that he wants to do." When she had no understanding of what was going on with her or anything like that.
Right.
So, and anime drives off of those principles. You know, you don't just save yourself to save yourself. She's
Yeah.
literally changing their society bit by bit.
And saving everyone in a sense.
Everybody,
Like she's
yeah.
bringing their family out of poverty, out of abject
Because
poverty.
as we
and
look
Lutz's
at it,
family
like
too.
you're basically giving us, she's going to come to them and say, all right, here's the deal. You buy their used things for this much. And we ultimately see, like in the first episode, she's working with
Nobility. If
a
you're in
magician
the
or a nobility
clergy,
of some
clergy
sort.
is an example of nobility, and that guy seemed like clergy
Yeah, she's
to me.
And I think, because I think I read some of the titles while sitting here because I was so ready to watch. I think that is ultimately her track. I think. So I think somewhere along the line she's going to end up switching probably so she can get
she's
the
gonna have
access or
to.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
So the parallel I wanted to draw in closing was between Frida and mine again, because mine is a grown woman in a 7-year-old's body, or soon to be 7-year-old's body.
Yeah.
Frida is not.
She is
Frida
not.
is
Yeah.
an actual child who is
Right.
actually 7 and still has the sharpness of mind to do this. So
She
I think that
does.
is very interesting that even though she's not, she didn't read books her entire life.
But we don't know that. Maybe
You're right.
One thing that's
a good
people
point.
that have the devouring have
Maybe
in
they
common
came
is
from
that they
somewhere
came
else.
from somewhere else, but I don't really know. But that was a great point, because it's making me wonder
Yeah.
and think, like, what is it about you guys that makes you
The devouring attracted
Yes.
to you?
And
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
so smart, like,
and so small.
so small, and,
And
weak.
she's also a commoner by all accounts of how she
yeah,
talks.
she has
Yeah.
money,
But
but,
she's
common.
yeah, she's
And her grandfather probably is not nobility. Like,
no, he's not. She said
yeah,
that's the
'cause
None
only
of them
choice.
are nobility.
Yeah, she
'cause
said that's
Benno
the
is-
only.
I don't even
He's a
know if Benno
commoner.
is
He's a
nobility.
commoner. He's
now
not
his
nobility.
sister is nobility, because that's how.
well,
remember,
I thought that
Otto
they're
married his
nobility
sister
they stayed in the
Yes.
noble area.
Yeah.
He's noble. Benno's noble because that was the whole thing she had the conversation about. He just didn't need to go out and be a merchant.
Well, here's the thing: if he's nobility,
He's
she
already
has
made a contract
with her.
Here we go.
So he's
Okay,
not
well, good
nobility.
point.
He can't
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, he can't be.
He can't be nobility like that.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think
You
it's
know what
like
I mean?
that, but you stay in that district, and that's not
because
just
he
off
fools
of,
with them. He's got that
Yeah.
money.
He sells to them.
Yeah, he got that money, honey.
I think there's all kinds of parts of it. He's
there
at
must
least
be some
upper high
additional
middle
stuff we
class
don't
or
know.
something. Because even with that, it still costs a lot of money to buy those things. And even as a businessman, like 3 golds, like 3 small golds that I will be paying for each of those things. I feel like
a large gold is going to buy you a house in this place. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't. But the medium bronzes,
2 large golds, I think would maybe buy you a shop. It seems like.
I don't know.
Because anyway,
clearly it's a lot of money.
It's been real.
But yeah, so things happened. It was intense.
So many things.
And we are glad to be back watching. Do your thing.
All right. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can holler at us on Twitter at Gray Area Anime 2. You can also get at us on Instagram and Facebook at Gray Area Anime. And if you would like to be a part of the show, send any questions, requests, or suggestions for things that we can cover, hit us up at grayareaanime@gmail.com.
And we have a Facebook.
I don't know why you always do that. I say Instagram and Facebook at the same time. Every time. Because they're the same.
Do your thing.
If you want to get in touch with me, you can go to BibleStudyGirl.com. You can find me on Instagram at _BibleStudyGirl. On the Twitters at BibleStudyGirl 2. And I also have a Facebook, Bible Study Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. A 1 and a 2 and a peace. Wait a minute. I did that wrong. A 1 and a 2 and a peace.